I'm joined today by the fabulous Ron Goodman, who is going to talk to me about Photography 101, how to get the most out of the camera on your smartphone. Ron, thank you so much for joining me today. I'm really looking forward to this series.
Good, good. It should be fun.
How long have you been snapping pictures? You're a major Shutterbug, I take it.
70 years?
70 years? I didn't need to make you date yourself like that. Yeah. Wear it with pride.
I must have started when I was about 7 to 10 years old.
70 years ago, we did not have smartphones. I think all the phones there were probably in the kitchen, and you were lucky if you had a long enough tether so you could get away from the stove.
Yeah.
So you started in the dark room and dealing with.
I started in the dark room, obviously, and it's now, I guess, it's longer than I thought. It's probably 15, 20 years now of transitioning over to digital photography. Mm-hmm. And now digital photography has not only obviated the old film, but now what's happening with the smartphones is that all the manufacturers of middle range and the smaller cameras are stopping to make them. Olympus went out of business 2 days ago.
Wow, I didn't catch that news.
Yeah, it's been a tremendous change over to the smartphone. Yeah. So that it's the camera that people have with them, and the manufacturers now are trying to figure out what to do, some of them just to stay in business.
Yeah. Well, there's obviously the passing of an era, which we can lament, but we can also jump into and embrace the future. There's a reason the companies are struggling, and it's not because people aren't taking pictures. People are taking more pictures than ever.
Tremendous numbers of pictures, but you don't need to carry around with you a 2-3 pound camera. And there are tremendous limitations still with the iPhone, but the biggest switch that's been happening is that photography is no longer dependent not only on film, but also that much on the lens.
Right.
So when you look at a smartphone, your lens is this tiny little thing in here. So what's been happening is it's the algorithm, it's the software that is actually now producing the images.
So it's not just what gets captured when a shutter.
Exactly. Yeah, and that's how you have these tiny little lenses. Yeah. But extraordinarily sophisticated computer algorithms that are.
Do these even have shutters on them, or are they pretty much always open?
No, they have shutters on them.
They do have shutters.
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
But I've never seen in the settings on my phone, but maybe this is, I haven't.
No, you can't, you don't change the iPhone I say the iPhone, I have to get away from that because I think we're going to have people, and I'll be prepared to use both Android and iOS, both operating systems. But the lens itself and the opening, as it were, changes according to the algorithms. You can perhaps use some manual override with some programs. We'll go into that. Mm-hmm. And the sensitivity, what used to be known as the ASA, automatically changes so that it gives you an optimum image no matter what you do most of the time. The only limitation, the big limitation, is right now on having an optical zoom. Right now you get a wide angle and a normal lens and even a slight portrait, but it's that extensive zoom that you have with a much bigger camera. But for 80% of your pictures, you don't have to have that.
So I've certainly seen people who've played with adding lenses onto their cameras too, yeah. All sorts of additions. Is that something you've played with?
I've played with it. I don't think that the quality yet is, or the convenience is up to what you'd want to have. And they're expensive. They're sometimes as much as $100 for each additional little lens. I haven't used any extensively yet.
Yeah.
But I suppose that would be an option.
I mean, when I remember, so I used to play a little bit, with an SLR or two, and I remember the big difference when I first got a polarizing filter and how awesome it was to do that. And I assume it's just algorithms now that can handle and do all the polarizing and take out the glare, and they've really learned how to do
Well,
that.
yeah, and one of that's what we're going to cover extensively in this course is how to use all of these options. The HDR, as it's called, the high definition, where the camera will actually take 5 pictures, 5 images of one thing, and put it all together for one image. And most of the software for both Android and iOS smartphone cameras will do that now. So it's very difficult to get a bad picture. You can take pictures almost in dark night. I'll show you how to do that. It's amazing what you can do.
That's awesome. Yeah. So, I mean, one of the tricks, and I know that you're going to cover this in these series, is that now that everybody can take a photograph, I know I have friends that are professional photographers who are like, now everybody thinks they're a photographer. And part of what I know you're going to do is also help people understand that while we all can take, we can capture anything, there's still a skill about framing. There's what makes
Absolutely.
a snapshot versus a photograph.
I think someone said recently that, maybe there's 500 million pictures taken every day. And very few of them are that good. It's the monkeys being able to constantly sit at a typewriter. They all have typewriters, but they're not necessarily going to produce a narrative. And I think that it's important to learn what does make a good photograph, how to take that photograph, share that with people, and also get it printed and framed if you want to do that.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a part of that process and just knowing.
Yeah. That process has never changed. Right. What makes good art, what makes a good photograph, how you can improve your photographs, how you do a portrait without everybody still having that Kodak smile. Right. And those are the things that we do want to cover in this.
And I know you're also going to cover when it's okay to break the rules. So you can't break the rules unless you know what they are, but there are times when it's important to step up.
Always.
Yeah.
That's why people pitch underhand sometimes.
So who do you think will get the most out of this course? Definitely it's going to be ready for people who are beginners or who have not done a lot, but a lot of us have taken a lot of pictures. So, is it for somebody who's taking 20 pictures a day?
That's a good question. I've given a course similar to this for adults, actually, at the Harvard Institute for Learning and Retirement, where you get a tremendous range of people. And beginners come, but also people who are not that familiar with all of the editing applications, all the apps that are out there. And I think the way that we can do this is to present the material in a limited period of time, and then with the chat options to have people ask questions, and obviously they'll be from different levels. But I think this will apply to most people, a good range of people.
Great. I think that's really exciting. And I know that while it would be great if everybody can join us for all 4 classes that we're going to do, It is going to be possible to jump in if you miss the first class, to come to the second or to come to the third.
Well,
I think the last one, we really hope that will be people who've benefited from at least some of what's been shared before, and there'll be some original new content in the last class, but there's also going to be an opportunity to do some sharing, taking what you've learned and then talking about it amongst everybody else. It'd be kind of weird to just join that one, but I'm sure you could do that because you probably just wouldn't have anything to share that would be benefiting from what you learned already.
Yeah, and I think that with your help as we arrange this, that these modules can stand alone. Yeah. For going through the mechanics and how in the cameras itself in these. And then what makes a good picture, a good photograph could stand on its own. And especially the post-production, where we take a look at they're coming out weekly, and most of them are free. for these apps that can just transform your pictures into all kinds of different images, that would be standalone. And then finally, also, what to do with the images once you get them. How do you share them with people? How do you archive them? Can you make a little book? That's another thing I think we will touch on at the end also is I think we'll have time of making some of these books that people put together. You can do that now very inexpensively and very easily.
And it frees us from having to do everything on these screens, which have tied us together so much. But, you know, I know that I've given those books as gifts to people before.
So you've done this, yeah.
And I think that's a great thing to do, especially when you can't be together. And as our travel is seriously limited, to be able to send a photo book to people of a family members who are getting older.
And share that book. Yeah. And we'll do that. That will be one of the modules. So I think that they all could, as you've suggested yourself, if not stand on their own, you can come in at different times.
It's obviously going to be richer if you can experience the whole thing, but you will be able to just come in and sample if you're not able to join us for everything. So I'm really glad that we're structuring it that way.
Yeah.
I think this is going to be a great experience. We're going to do a total of 4 classes to start. We'll explore possibilities and see where people are. We're going to do it here on Zoom, which is what we're using to record our conversation right now. But we will also live stream. So if people have an easier time watching, I know sometimes Zoom is challenging for some folks. So we'll be live streaming it on Facebook and on YouTube. So people can ask questions by chat on those platforms and engage. We'll also be using.
I leave that up to you, and
that's what we've been doing, and it works pretty smoothly. One of the nice things, if you want to watch, like with a family, I know in my family we have a little Roku stick that we stick into the TV. You can't project Zoom very easily or Facebook, but I can put YouTube, and we can all watch something and even participate, maybe use your phone for the chat, but you're watching it. There's all sorts of ways. We want to make it so wherever people are, they can get to you, and also be able to archive. So if you missed the first one or something, you can go back and watch it, although you won't be able to ask questions afterwards. We can share emails and such, obviously, but it won't be the same. It's going to be richest to be there in person, virtually. So
good.
Great. Thank you, Ron. I'm really looking forward to it. I really appreciate you reaching out. I know you're a proud Quincy resident, and it's just great that you're you've reached out and are figuring out a way to give back to the community. We really appreciate it. Thank you.
Good. Thanks.